I suggest at this time you listen, because nobody wants another war or strike in Syria or anywhere else. Bring our brothers and sisters home. I am truly disgusted that you people are my leaders.
Welcome to the Rage Against the Regime podcast, where the status quo gets taken to task. Call in or text your comments to 256-344-RATR. That's 256-344-7287.
Welcome to another edition of Rage Against the Regime. I'm your host, Bobby, who's the man. And today I would like to talk about the Bilderberg Group. A lot of you probably don't even know what the Bilderberg Group is, and you're probably thinking in your head, why do I want to hear about something that I have no clue about? Well, the reason why you don't know anything about the Bilderberg Group is because the mainstream media, or the propaganda as I call them, don't tell you anything about it. They won't even cover it. The Bilderberg Group has been getting together for 50 years. That's right, 50 years. In 2008, before Barack Hussein Obama was selected to be our next president, I'm not going to say voted, I'm going to say selected to be our next president, he was at the Bilderberg Group. Now, I could read you a list, which I'm going to pull the list up here in a second, and I'm going to read it to you. But the list of names for the Bilderberg Group is all the world leaders. Anybody that's considered a world leader goes to this thing every year. Okay? So, when you have all the leaders of the countries and, and everything getting together, what could these people possibly be getting together for and talking about if they don't have some kind of secret agenda, I guess you could say, would be the best way to call it. I mean, you've got people from France, from, there's Dutch people there, from the United States, Hungary, Australia. I mean, the countries are never ending. Turkey. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you about all the different countries and everything that they come from. Oh, here, okay, yeah, I will, because here's the list. Australia, Belgium, Canada, Switzerland, China, Germany, Denmark, Spain, Finland, France, Great Britain, Greece, Hungary, International, whatever that means, Ireland, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Sweden, Turkey, and of course, the good old United States of America. Now, if I named half of these companies and stuff that these people belong to, well, I really don't have to get into that part of it. The most important part is they're from banks, mostly. So what does that tell you, people? I mean, do you actually realize that this is all the money in the United States and all these other countries that are named? This is all the heads of all the money in all these countries coming together and making decisions. Now, I'm not really a I guess what I should say is I'm not really very well educated when it comes to Bilderberg. Only the things that I've followed throughout the last, few years and stuff like that. But I mean, I do know that more people are getting on board with this and trying to cover the news of Bilderberg. I mean, a lot of decisions are being made, in behind the walls. I mean, you have queens and princes and, so on and so forth, and, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But here, this is the key topics for discussion at this year's Bilderberg Group. Is the economic recovery sustainable? Who will pay for the demographics? Does privacy exist? How special is the relationship in intelligence sharing? Big shifts in technology and jobs. The future of democracy in the middle class trap. China's political and economic outlook. The new architecture of the Middle East. Oh boy. Ukraine. What's next for Europe in current events? Now, the Bilderberg Group was founded in 1954. Okay? 1954. This is 2014. So, what is that? 60 years. These people have been getting together for 60 years. How often have you ever seen this on your news? I mean, it's not here in the United States. They always get together in like Denmark and, other places or whatever. But this year, they're in Copenhagen, Denmark. Now, why do you think that the mainstream media doesn't cover this? I mean, it's very well known. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Anybody that's a news outlet besides the propaganda mainstream media knows about the Bilderberg Group getting together every year. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Why is the mainstream media in denial? I don't understand. So, all the world leaders and banks and princes and princesses and kings and queens and whatever, all coming together to talk about things. Now, if you people think in your mind that the president is actually really voted for, I really don't even know what to tell you anymore. I seriously don't. Okay? If you think one vote actually even has anything to do with anything, you're crazy. These people are sitting down right now talking about who is going to do what, where, when, and why. Okay, because you always follow the money. Anybody that I've ever talked to and that has ever talked to me about politics and so on and so forth, everybody always says follow the money. Look at Shai Townsend. Great interview that I did, about 2 weeks ago. First thing that, that we were talking about, and about politics and everything, that was the first thing that he talked about, was following the money. I think it's really a great idea. So when you follow the money in this case, where does it lead you to? Copenhagen, Denmark, where all the big-time players and bankers and everything else are all getting together right now. Now, a lot of a lot of people trying to cover the news, not mainstream news. I'm sorry, strike that one. But people that really want to know and want to spread the truth. People like me. They're all trying to cover this right now. A lot of people went to Denmark. And they went and got rooms at the Marriott. And they were all kicked out and said that they couldn't stay there after today being Wednesday. They couldn't stay there any longer, that they had to leave. And some people were in the hotel and on premises and were arrested for filming. They've even went up to groups of women that were the organizers and pretty much called them out and had video of it and said, hey, we know who you are. Why don't you just, talk to us about it? Oh, we're here for a birthday, the women said. And we're just here to celebrate. It's girls' night out. And, knowing all along who all these ladies are, the ladies just sat there and denied it. Now, okay, kind of dumb on their part. If somebody knows who you are, for you to just sit there and deny it just makes you look like the fool. But, okay, so people getting arrested by the Denmark police and the Secret Service, going up, trying to take their film and trying to check their cameras and everything to see what they have on them and so on and so forth, so nothing can get released and whatever. But, of course, you know, they were actually, some of them were allowed to get away with it. But, I mean, what do you people think is going on here? I mean, I think that our next president is probably being prepped over there while this is going on. Because I'm going to say it until I'm, you know, maybe until I'm dead. I don't think no votes count for anything. I think that the president is a chosen person. It's not somebody that anybody has voted for. Now, you can call me goofy if you want and laugh about it or whatever, but I mean, there's been too many times where, you know, it's proven to go the other way. Now, another thing that I would like to talk about today is I would like to talk about the kid that went on the rampage and shot people and stabbed people and everything in California. When I listened to the interview, kind of got the feeling that I was watching somebody and listening to somebody that was an actor that was trying out for a part. Now, I don't know if you people think that, you know, that it's something that was true, or if it might be something that's a false flag, you know, another false flag to try to take away guns and everything else. But it's kind of weird that his father was the director for the Hunger Games. Now, it seems to me that every director for all three of the movies for the Hunger Games, their kids and families and stuff like that have had something go on that has made the news. Now, this last one being the case, you know, of the kid, the director's son, you know, going out and stabbing, 3 people and shooting 4 people and going out on a spree. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but I know that there's been a lot of false flags going around and a lot of things happening because I know that the government is trying to take our guns away, for one. For two, the police state is here, okay? And for 3, you know, them taking all these homeless people and bringing them to FEMA camps. You know, it's really getting scary, folks. It's really getting scary. I mean, what's going to happen next? What's going to be taken away from us next? I mean, the internet, it's already happening. We've talked about Patriots pages being, you know, brought down and their Facebook pages being taken away and, you know, them not being able to post. Blaine Cooper lost his for 30 days. You know, Dabu 7's YouTube page was taken down. You know, the list goes on and on. I'm not going to try to name all the Patriots and, you know, all the 3%ers or Oath Keepers or whoever that's had problems, but everybody knows. Anybody that, you know, watches YouTube videos like I do to, you know, to try to find out some truth and get some knowledge about different things and everything else knows, you know, what's going on with all these pages. So, with all that being said, what's next? I mean, I made it very clear that, you know, I'm not too happy about the FCC being the ones that are in control of the internet and where I'm going to be able to go on the internet or whatever. I mean, if it was one of the kids or somebody under, you know, under 13 or 14 years old and being monitored on a computer, you know, to say, hey, you can't go into this certain area, or, you know, not allowing them to go watch porn or whatever. I mean, yeah, that's a no-brainer. You know, not being able to watch stabbing, shooting, stuff like that, that's a no-brainer. Like me, I don't allow my son to play certain video games. He likes wrestling. He likes to watch wrestling. But when he plays a wrestling game, he acts out. Okay? He starts misbehaving and acting, like the characters on the screen and stuff like that. Okay? So, of course, I'm going to monitor it. I don't want him to do it. But the FCC to be in charge of our internet? I mean, I don't know if you see the big picture, but I do. So with all that being said, what is going to happen next? What is going to happen next? I mean, I don't think that we're being told the truth on Yellowstone. I mean, I did a podcast. I believe it was my very first one, and we talked about Yellowstone Park, and we talked about the supervolcano underneath Yellowstone. I don't think our government is telling us the truth and giving us all the news about Yellowstone and about the supervolcano. I really don't. Now, I go on the bunker report. The bunker report tells us about the weather and about earthquakes and, just different storms and stuff like that. And they focus on the supervolcanoes and focus on Yellowstone. And their reports are conflicting with what the government releases. I mean, they pretty much get their news from the same places, but the government does not want to allow certain information to be released. And thankfully, Bunker Report, they tell us everything. Now, they seem very reputable. They have a lot of followers, and I happen to go onto the Bunker Report a lot. And I like to check to see what's going on with Yellowstone. Okay, mind you, I live 1,300 miles away from Yellowstone, so I don't think anything that happens at Yellowstone, I don't think it's really going to affect where I live that much. But I mean, I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about people in general. I mean, if somebody's going to end up getting hurt and, and something's going to happen and the government knows about it, I have a problem with them not telling people about it if that's the case. Do I want to see a bunch of people die and stuff? No. Because, I mean, I know that there's conflicting reports from scientists. Like I said, depending upon what side of the fence that you're on, some scientists say, oh, yeah, there's going to be a major eruption from this volcano, but it's not going to be in our lifetime. They're saying that it's going to be coming, but it's going to be thousands of years away. Now, people on the other side are saying, hey, you need to pay attention to what's going on here at Yellowstone because, we're having things happening that haven't happened in a long time. We're having a lot more earthquakes. The animals are moving to the other side of the park. The ground's raising. The volcano is more active than it's ever been. I mean, the list goes on and on. Now, I'm no rocket scientist, but what the hell does that tell you? Be prepared. I know all the preppers that I know are all talking about this thing, and, but you can't be prepared for something like that, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and I don't think it matters how much time you have. Like, even if they give you a 24-hour notice, I don't think you can get far enough away that you're not going to be affected by it. How about that? So, if that be the case, I mean, the government has all these underground bunkers and, and places to hide and everything. I mean, truck drivers have come forward and said, hey, yeah, they do have these underground bunkers, and, it's far enough into a mountain, it's far enough underground, and the big doors on it and everything else, they're not going to be affected by that. They have plenty of places to hide. But are you and I going to be on that list of people that are going to be able to run and hide there if something major happens? No, because we're not the elitist, okay? We're not the regime who I have rage against. That's why I call my podcast Rage Against the Regime. Are we going to be the ones to be able to go in there? No. You don't have enough zeros on your paycheck to be able to be one of the people that they let into that bunker. Now, you can believe me if you want to. But I'm going to tell you right now, you will not be one of the ones. So what is your plan? Do you have a plan? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a plan. But like I said, in my mind, I don't think where I live is really going to be affected. I live 1,300 miles away from Yellowstone. Okay? 1,300 miles away. Now, where I live at, I have more to worry about than Yellowstone. Okay? Because I live in Chirac. For any of you that don't know, that's what everybody calls Chicago, Chirac. Because this is a war zone here. And summertime's coming. The numbers of shootings and everything here on a daily basis is just, it's crazy. But I'm not going to get into that. We're talking about Yellowstone. So, like I said, I'm being honest. I don't have a plan. Do I have a water supply? No. Do I have food, excess food, stuff that, like preppers would use and stuff like that? No. I don't have a plan. I mean, how many of us in the world really, really have a plan? I think, and you all know that I'm not a numbers guy, and I say that every show. But I think if we were to do percentages, I think that the percentage of people that are prepared for this and have a plan would be way less. Way less. I think it would be a minute number. If I had to do a percentage, I would say 3%. I would guess. I'm not looking anything up, even though I have a way to do that and everything else. I'm not looking it up. I would say 3% of the world have a plan for any kind of major disaster. And you know what? Those numbers are really, really scary. They're very scary. I think all of us need to wake up and we need to realize what's going on. Because every day it seems like there's another whistleblower that's coming forward that's telling us things and breaking the news to everybody. And I think more people are starting to wake up now. But I don't think there's enough of us. Okay, we talked last time about Operation America Spring. And, how Colonel Riley, he tried to do something. He started it. And, he just couldn't complete it. There's still people in Washington right now that say that they're not leaving until something is done. Until the president and all his cronies are the hell out of the office. And you know what? I want the same thing. I want the same thing. Now, do you think it's going to happen? I mean, I'm praying it happens. And I'm sure most of you are too. Anybody that's listening to this right now probably has the same agenda that I do, and you probably look at life and, look at the news and everything the same way that I do, or else you probably wouldn't be listening to me. But I mean, to be 100% honest, I would love for him to be out of office. Okay? Now, he has the lowest approval rating out of any president since George Washington. Now, I don't know how anybody ever figured out, what the approval ratings were before, because, they didn't have no kind of systems or anything like that. It was probably like, hey, give me a show of hands of you 10 people in here. How many people like what the president's doing or whatever? But I mean, now, seriously, this president has the lowest approval rating. Now, I live in Chicago. I live in his hometown. If he really gave a shit, about anything, do you think that we would be having all the killings that we're having here in Chicago right now? I mean, his right-hand man is the mayor here, Rahm Emanuel. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's plenty of security around whenever he's in town. I mean, all the helicopters buzzing around and the Ospreys but I mean, besides that, lowest approval rating out of any president. And then Benghazi, what is there? They said that there's 100. I'm trying to think of what the number was. I think they said it was like 110. Yeah, I think that was the number. 110 things that the president's done that he could have been brought up on charges of treason. Really? How many presidents in the past, for oddball things, were brought up on treason charges, and they didn't really even do that much? This guy, over 100. I mean, okay, so a lot of you are probably going to say, oh yeah, Obama did this and Obama did that. Well, the way that I look at it, I know he has bosses just like anybody else. Okay? He has bosses just like anybody else. Bloomberg being the main one. But if he's the man at the forefront, and he's the one that everybody says is calling all the shots, then he should be the one that has to come down for that reason. So that means that he should be the one to lose his job. Just like all the other cronies that are in office right now. They're all doing the same thing. With all that being said, what else can we do to get this done? Now, I posted on my page last week that there's a petition going on around right now that people need to sign. Okay? And it's very, very important that it be done. Okay? Anonymous is the ones that have the petition going on right now, and they also are trying to get the Supreme Court judges taken out of office. Now, I don't remember everything that was said on the video, but it made a lot of sense to me. So, if you want, go ahead and go on to Rage Against the Regime podcast on Facebook and look up for the petition. The petition is on there, and it's under the anonymous video. Take a look at the video and see what they have to say. It's about a 20-minute video, and they explain all the reasons that the petition should be signed for Obama to be taken out of office and for the Supreme Court judges to be taken off the bench. Now, I have a few other issues that I would like to get to, and I think that they really need to be brought up. Just recently on Facebook, I'm part of a few different groups. I'm not going to give out the names of the groups that were cyber attacked, but it's like-minded thinkers like me, like you, that are kind of part of groups, and we just talk about what we feel and what we think are newsworthy and stuff like that, and we just kind of share amongst each other. Well, somebody added people to the groups, and somebody cyber attacked every one of us, overtook our Facebook pages, and so on and so forth. Now, do I think it was a hacker? No, I don't. I think it was somebody from Facebook that was looking in on our stuff and seeing what we were talking about, and I think that they attacked every one of our pages. And I think they were trying to send a message to us. Now, like I said, I'm not going to name the pages. Some of you listeners know what I'm talking about because you are some of the people that got attacked. But, I mean, do you think that that's right? Because I think that's an invasion of privacy. I mean, we should be able to go in there and talk about anything that we want to talk about. But I mean, like I said, we're all like-minded thinkers, and we kind of all have the same worries, and and the same issues or whatever. I don't think that it's right. But I would like to give you all a little bit of information. Right now, there's a couple different web pages that I'm going to tell you about to get away from all that type of crap. There's a new social media network that is a private one. It's www.faceuni.com. FACEUNI.com. That's a private social media network where you don't have to worry about the stuff that you do on Facebook. Then I would like to tell you about a way that you can go onto the internet and it's encrypted. It's unseennow.com. Unseennow.com. And what they are, it's a group based out of Iceland. They even have a mobile app where you can chat with friends. You can even make phone calls on it, and you can do video. So, unseennow.com. And then there's it's part of Avast. I mean, some people don't like Avast. I like Avast. They have a secure line way that you can just be completely off the grid. And when you go and go onto the internet, you use the secure line, and it will put you to where you can surf safely, and it'll even say that you're in another place, and people won't even be able to find you. So, I mean, that's a few different options to keep you off the grid. And you know what? Give me a little bit of feedback. Let me know what you guys think about the different websites that I just gave out. I will post them on the link for the podcast, and and let me know what you guys think, and hopefully you guys are happy with it, and I'm pretty sure that you guys will enjoy it. Like I said, it's a way for you to get off of the grid and to be able to go onto the internet, not have all the problems that you would have just by being on just on a regular format like Facebook. Especially with them nowadays and all the things that they're doing. I mean, all the pages that are coming down. Everybody that has anything to do with pretty much anything. I know that doesn't sound right, but what I'm trying to say is, you can't even post anything. You can't do anything, without the Facebook people being all over you, and bringing your pages down if they don't like what you have to say, which is not right. I mean, they shouldn't be able to control what you say and what you do. Just like on YouTube. I mean, how would YouTube? I mean, isn't that supposed to be like a free speech video page? All the different patriots, and okay, I'm repeating myself, but because I talked about it earlier, but they shouldn't be able to do that. Well, make sure you call me and leave comments or questions at 256-344-RATR, 256-344-RATR. You can leave a voicemail or, your comments, questions, whatever. And then don't forget about our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/user/RATR podcast. youtube.com/user/RATR podcast. And then our Facebook page, Rage Against the Regime Podcast. On Facebook, Rage Against the Regime Podcast. And then on Twitter, we are RATR Podcast on Twitter. So make sure you like us, friend us, follow us, whatever. And make sure you listen. Please share with all your friends, family, and everybody else. And keep listening to us. And that's it for the day. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Rage Against the Regime.
Now, we are joined with a quick update by Paul Joseph Watson from Copenhagen, Denmark. Here in just a moment, we're going to go to him. And then I'm going to give the phone number out on a host of issues and cover some other news here in just a moment. So be ready for that. First off, Bilderberg 2014 is more important than ever. Last week, Paul Watson, from our sources, but also from public statements in Der Spiegel, by one of the Bilderberg Group members, admitting that they basically run the planet, that they are establishing a planetary regime, that they're more powerful than Davos. Davos is kind of one of their public events. That's why Prime Minister of England went there last year while I was covering it. While I was being detained by police for trying to rent a boat to go down the canal to get a shot of him there. We forced them to admit that he was an attendee and that he violated different federal laws in England, that you cannot have the Prime Minister meeting secretly at a lobbyist meeting. That's what this is. But they didn't want you to ever know it existed. I remember 10 years ago, they would have the New York Times literally say that we were insane, no such group existed. In fact, forget that. In 2009, the New York Times reviewed a film called The New World Order that aired on the independent film channel that I was in. And they literally said Mr. Jones had a full-on schizophrenic break, total break with reality, and was in the woods in Virginia imagining sedans and men in black glasses and a secret meeting. And they said there was no meeting. And we had footage of Marines. We had footage of helicopters, Secret Service. Turned out Hillary and Obama were in the meeting years later. That was their secret meeting when no one could find Obama for a day. It was there. It happened. We caught world leaders with their national anthems playing, and they just came out in the New York Times and said it didn't exist. Just like they say, if you have a business, you didn't build that. Just like they say that raising the debt limit doesn't raise the debt limit. Just like they say there is no $5,000 fine starting this year for people that don't get Obamacare. It's in the stinking bill. Everyone will be affected next year. They just say there is no fee. There are no death panels. You will keep your doctor. It will lower your bill to the price of a phone bill or a cable bill. I guess if you've got 10 different cable packages, maybe. Maybe you own a small hotel and pay for 10 packages, maybe, yeah. But not one. It's doubling prices conservatively. This is what we deal with. Well, guess what? Now, thanks to Infowars.com, WorldNetDaily.com, DrudgeReport.com, the Epoch Times, they helped break it as well in the last decade, American Free Press and others. Because of that fact, they now have to admit it exists. But they go, it's no big deal. Yeah, it's world leaders meeting in secret, royalty, bankers, head of Google. But don't worry about it. It's kooky to even care. Let me tell you what happened last year in England. You've seen the video. About 3,000 people showed up to hear me speak on the green there. The police told us they were listeners and didn't like Bilderberg. And we're not lying. And rolled the red carpet out for us. In most cases. There were a few that were jerks, low-level ones. But I've never been treated so well by police. And they gave us intel. Well, regional police came and met with us and were nice, and then local police were nice. I ran into some guys from MI5, gave us really good intel. And they just said point blank, no, we know this is horrible for our country. We know it's bad, yeah. We're allowed to have opinions as citizens. Yeah, it's terrible. It's illegal, we believe. People don't want to be slaves, folks. You got a working class attitude in England where people still understand, especially those that aren't dumb, that having a bunch of insiders meet is bad for everybody and set agendas in secret. And it's illegal. So we've come a long way. I'm going to skip this network break so we can talk to Paul Watson, give the number out and take your calls. But Bilderberg 2014 is a big deal. because we just got the internal list. It's going up right now at Infowars.com. Then we're going to add photos, documents, and intel to the bottom of it. But we have the 2014 list. It's going up at Infowars.com in mere minutes. In mere minutes. Joining us from Copenhagen tomorrow, he'll be on with us via video Skype 30 minutes into the show. And if there's any big events or any attempts to stop our reporters, he'll be doing live feeds as well on Ustream and other systems. Paul, give us an update since you got there yesterday. Were you able to get into the hotel, or are you banned, as I was in England and as you were in England? Give us the data dump. Paul Watson reporting for Infowars.com.
Hi, Alex. Good to be back. Yeah, I've actually checked into the Marriott right now, and they've blocked off the second floor of the hotel. There's a rope around the stairs in the lobby, and if you take the elevator up to the second floor, you're quickly escorted back into the elevator. So they've let us in this time, which differs obviously from last year where we were kicked out 3 days beforehand. We were told that we were a security threat at Watford last year at the Grove. This year, they've let us check in, but preparations are already very visibly taking place for Bilderberg 2014. The security is extremely paranoid for as much as half a mile surrounding the entire hotel. But we've checked into the Marriott. We're here reporting from the scene.
It's now gone up on Infowars.com. We have the official 2014 list that went up literally minutes ago on the official Bilderberg Meetings website, which, again, they didn't have till 6 years ago. Under massive pressure, they have been forced to let some of this out. Official Bilderberg 2014 membership list released. Official list on this year's Bilderberg attendees has now been released. The key, and we're going to add this note at the bottom of their official list and point out that this is their official list, and then have a link saying here's where it comes from. And then under that, we're going to have a note so people understand this is world leaders meeting in secret. They tried to deny this existed in the past. We have forced in previous years to have them admit it is real. And then we have your latest article reposted under it, Paul. And we're going to make note of that, that you have been able from your sources to find out what they're really concerned with this year and what is going to be on their agenda and what the main focus is. But Paul, obviously shoot video of them throwing you off the elevator. I'd come out with your iPhone rolling and put that on YouTube. How is Ustream working? Give us a little preview of what you're going to be able to do inside the hotel.
Well, the fact that they've let us in is a big surprise because as far as half a mile away, right across the water, the police are going around to the local ice cream sellers and telling them to watch out for suspicious people walking next to the water. So they've done it a little bit differently. At least they're letting us in. But you can tell that, you know, compared to Watford last year, the security setup is very more paranoid. But we're inside the hotel. They've roped off the second floor. The organisers for the actual conference are already here.
Yeah, let's be clear. Used to, they threw you out Thursday morning. They started arriving Thursday evening. Now, when I get there, even 3 days before, they're just, Alex Jones, you're not allowed here. The police are there. They throw us out. They go to the local hotel where we're staying, say, don't give this guy service. We caught that on tape in Virginia last year. Just 2 years ago was in Virginia. Last year was England. Unprecedented how the police behaved in Virginia. Very un-American, very North Korean. So to be clear, you haven't been thrown out yet. They may have missed your name. I think you should be ready for that, Paul.
I'm surprised because outside, at the entrance to the hotel, there were tourists with cameras who weren't even taking pictures. They just had, Canon cameras slung around their backs, and security people were walking up to them and being very domineering and saying, you're not allowed to take pictures.
Well, Watson, let's just say it. You're like 6'3", and you look extremely aristocratic. So, you look like a model in person. So that's why you're being left alone.
In Denmark.
No, I know. That's why you're being left alone. I know. Exactly. That's what's going on.
No, but, yeah, they're walking up to people who aren't even taking pictures and harassing them. And even right across the water, they're talking to the local tradesmen and the people who own the boats that sail right by the hotel and trying to intimidate them out of taking protesters on board. There's still a chance that we might be able to do that, but we'll wait and see.
Okay, so they are talking to people saying don't give boat rides on the nearby water. Describe the water that's around the hotel. And we'll put it on Google Maps, guys. All week we're going to have Google Maps of the Marriott there, and we're going to be showing that. And McBrain's putting together a data package of all that I was requesting last week. Go ahead.
Yeah, basically, obviously one side of the Marriott faces out onto the water streaming through, and the other side, faces out onto the industrial sector and the rest of the city. There's a bridge that connects the Marriott, and there are people with microphones patrolling that bridge on a regular basis. I saw that from the hotel room a little bit earlier. They actually upgraded my hotel room to a waterfront view, so that was nice.
Well, Watson, I want you to get on that boat.
Very paranoid.
I want you to get on those boats and get footage from the water of the facility. Are they putting up a fence, a makeshift riot fence, like they did in Watford last year in England?
They're doing that tomorrow. I've been told the space that the police have afforded us is very near the hotel compared to last year. It's literally across the road. The fences that are in place now are there permanently, so you can see through them. That's no big deal. But they're going to put bollards up. They're going to erect a fence tomorrow, I've been told, immediately in front of that parking lot area, which is being afforded to the protesters. And then there are separate areas nearer the hotel that have been given to us. So, and I'm here with Charlie Skelton and Hannah, who can talk to you as well about the preparations.
Now, Watson, again, we had incredible mega thunderstorms covering half the state yesterday, literally. So the flights were all canceled out of Houston to get our reporters out there to you, David Knight and Josh Owens. They'll be there tonight, late tonight. And so get ready tomorrow. They're going to be there to help you, cover the fence going up. Make contact, obviously, with the bartenders, with the workers, that when they treat you horrible, when they're bad, give them your business card so that they can contact you later with any information. What else are you planning?
The thing about the staff is they're obviously very reluctant to tell us anything. We've already tried to talk to them, and it's basically a complete lockdown. But as I said, we're going to get nearer than we did last year. We're here until tomorrow, early afternoon, which is when we have to check out. So basically, we got the rest of today and tomorrow morning, and we're getting, closer access than we did last year. So hopefully we're going to get more inside information compared to last year. But as I said, it's a whole lot more paranoid than it was last time around, because they've allowed us in, but I'm looking at the stairs up to the second floor. They've put a red rope across it. They've blocked it off. They've got people guarding it. They've got people outside the front of the hotel harassing tourists simply for carrying cameras. They're not even taking photographs. And looking at the actual attendee list, you've got Rasmussen there from NATO. So as I said in the article earlier, they're extremely concerned about this agenda for the unipolar world falling apart, which obviously centers around Putin and Ukraine. We've had top globalists saying that Russia is basically being kicked out of the New World Order. You've got the revolution in Europe with the anti-EU parties winning the Euro elections in the UK, Denmark, and France. So this is absolutely crucial for Bilderberg. This is probably one of the most crucial meetings since the 60s or the 70s, so it's very important. And Charlie Skelton from The Guardian is here, so I can put him on if you want a quick word with him.
Absolutely. We'd love to talk to Charlie Skelton. Let's do that right now. Again, we have to give The Guardian credit. In the last 8 years or so, they've been covering it and not just making jokes about it. And Charlie's been arrested, you name it, repeatedly. But he did a great job in England last year helping organize so much of it with his wife, the actual protest. So you got to love that. Guardian writer helping organize the protest. Charlie Skelton, thank you for joining us. What's your breakdown on what you're seeing, sir?
Well, I'm staring now at the participant list, which is, it seems to be a very powerful Bilderberg this year. I mean, they're always powerful, but there seems to be a big one. The head of MI6, the head of NATO, the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe are here, and they're interestingly here with people like General Petraeus, who now works for Henry Kravis at KKR. Now, KKR is a big speculator on war. You know, that's where they make their money. They're not the nicest people in the world. So anyway, they're going to be, I guess, discussing some of the things going on in geopolitically, and we'll be standing nearby taking photographs of them as they arrive in the limousine, or trying to.
Now, I was thrown out with Watson 2 days before it began in Watford last year. We were in the restaurant, actually, and they came in and said, get up and leave. And I just kept eating and finished my wine. But long story short, how were you guys able to get in if they're even telling tourists 300 yards outside the facility not to take photos?
Well, I mean, it's a kind of slightly fluid situation. And, we're here, we're going to go for dinner here, I hope, and just have a nice time and soak up the extremely expensive atmosphere, and then worry about the cost tomorrow. But it's still winding up, and it will wind up now for the next few days until obviously it reaches on Thursday the sort of peak of the security, and it's a big operation, and we're right. The location is just a couple of hundred yards from the main administrative centre of the Copenhagen police. So it's in some ways it's interesting they're holding it right in the middle of the city. So good for people that want to come and say hello, take some photos, report on it. But also right next to the police station. So I think it should be it's a sunny day today. I think it should be a good Bilderberg. I mean, obviously it's missing your presence, sailing down a barge, bullhorning, which is a memory I won't forget in a hurry. But we've got Paul Joseph Watson here, so that's a good second best.
Well, you're going to kick butt. Is your wife there as well?
She is, yes, she's here.
I want to come back, Charlie, and do 2 or 3 more minutes with you to get other observations. The real global mafia is meeting right now in Copenhagen, Denmark, protected by the state-run media, protected by the state and taxpayers' money. And they're not being protected from physical harm. They're being protected mainly from the harm of the bright lights of publicity. And Charlie Skelton writes for The Guardian and its sister newspaper, The Observer. And his stories have been widely circulated. Probably the top coverage of the last 5, 6, 7 years of Bilderberg has been at The Guardian, much of it his. That's a big deal. There's a reason The Guardian's #1 in Europe, not just in England, and it's because it covers globalism. It covers the New World Order. It covers real stories. It covers the NSA whistleblowers. And they've been threatening to arrest members of The Guardian. So I've got to give it credit where it's due. DrudgeReport.com has linked to the official Bilderberg 2014 attendee list that we have mirrored from their site. We're also going to add to the bottom of it. Yesterday they released the official agenda, which I can assure you will not be the real agenda being covered. Because they'll have these official meetings, and then the little breakaways is where the real criminal stuff's going on. By the way, mainstream British news last year said it was illegal. I mean, they are setting policy in secret. Going back to Charlie Skelton, I know you'll have a lot more tomorrow and throughout the weekend. We'll have live coverage again Sunday as it all ends on the Sunday broadcast as well. I may even just have David Knight and Paul Watson, if the Skype is good, host the Sunday show with myself just calling in so I don't dominate the discussion. I have to kind of exclude myself, or wild horses can't drag me away. But other points you think are important or other observations, Charlie Skelton?
Well, from the agenda, I would definitely, I mean, whether they're discussing this, they're certainly saying they're discussing the question, does privacy exist? Which, for an organisation that values privacy as much as Bilderberg does, it's a curious question. But it's interesting they're discussing privacy with, the head executive chairman of Google, Eric Schmidt, and the head of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, and people like Alex Karp from Palantir Technologies. So these are kind of big players in the new media and that world. So it's, in a world where we, the people, are extremely transparent. It's interesting that they would ask, does privacy exist? And, it's a question everyone should actually be asking. Perhaps not in the way they're asking, because, their idea of privacy and ours probably differ, and the importance of privacy probably differs. But I think that's interesting that privacy in a post-Snowden world, is at the centre of the Bilderberg discussion.
Well, I think you make a really good point there, that these guys are just such hypocrites on every front. Schmidt, who's a frequent attendee, the head of Google, he wants to be secret. He had YouTube takedown videos that we posted of him hiking up the mountain a few years ago in Switzerland. Then they put them back up later when there was protest. I just don't get how they want to live in one world and then we live in another. Why don't they just want everybody to be free? I just don't get how they think they're important, but we're not.
Well, I know, you end up with a slightly Hunger Games division of society as the Bilderbergians zoom through the ghettos. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a slight, there's a double standard at play. When you're being held in a sort of police pen, pointing a zoom lens at a group of world leaders, which include people like the head of the IMF and two ministers from the UK, and a shadow minister as well. So these are politicians. There's a lot of politicians here. If you look at the list, you'll see the number of elected officials. Sorry, I hate that. Public servants here. It's staggering. And where are the minutes from the meeting? So there are questions like that people should be asking. This is a meeting where 3-day conference. Chancellor of the Exchequer, the head of the Treasury in the UK, is going to be here for 3 days. It's probably his biggest engagement of the year officially. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. And we need, if that's happening, and if there are so many politicians, we need better coverage from the mainstream media. It's improving certainly, but we need more, and we need more transparency from the politicians who attend. That seems, I think, reasonable, and that's a double standard I think we can explode within the media and generally. Hopefully, I say that. I'm an optimist.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, I remember, again, 5 years ago, they wouldn't admit that the stock markets are rigged and that the interest rates are rigged. Now even Rolling Stone admits it, and everything is rigged, the biggest price-fixing scandal ever. Look at LIBOR. Look at the big European banks, and the U.S. is doing it as well, fixing interest rates to screw the general public, where the elite get basically free interest. We have to pay interest, even if we have good credit. Rigging things is a big deal, and we're there showing where it's being rigged, and it's just simply amazing that we have forced the bigger establishment-aligned media to cover this, because believe me, folks, a decade ago, if mainstream media covered Bilderberg, you would lose your job. Charlie Skelton, thank you so much for the time, and you can hand that back over to Paul Watson, and I can't wait to see your reporting at the London Guardian.